Welcome back to Off the Page with Keira. I have my delicious dandelion honey tea. This is my favorite thing. I drink this every night before bed. And I am very tired, as always. And tonight, I wanted to quit on this. Day 21. Isn't that how it works, right? And I was sitting here praying, and I was like, do these videos even do anything? Why am I doing these videos? And then I just did what I always do every time I want to quit something. I just quiet that voice and then I just show the fuck up. That is the secret to success. The end of video, right? Like it really is. And so I was thinking tonight, maybe I'll tell you all the stories of the graveyard of creations that I have made. And I want to tell you these stories because what I see happen as I help so many authors who are also entrepreneurs, because you are an entrepreneur if you're an author. And I don't think that's taught in the world, but being an author means that you have a product. And if you have a product, then you have a business. And that is why we have a business school at JOA Publishing, so I can teach authors the business of being an author. Very important. So I've helped so many. And what I see is that when they launch something and it doesn't work, it collapses them and then they don't keep going. And I want to tell you the stories of all the things that I have created that hasn't worked so that you see that this is actually just part of the path, because it's very easy to see JOA and be like, you know, we have this full publishing house. Like we have literally books being published almost every week for the next few months. We have a TV show coming out. I've got a daily podcast. We got this. We got a JOA podcast. Like, it's easy to be like, oh, like, that was an overnight success. No. Let me tell you. I'm going to tell you about the crickets. Yes? And the power of being in action in the midst of crickets. So crickets to me are when you launch something and it's just dead silent. So silent, it's just like crickets are going off, right? Those are the moments that make you. All right, so let's start. Let's start from the beginning, shall we? Okay, so in 2018, was it 2018? No, it was January of 2019. So when I started this journey of being an entrepreneur, which, mind you, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 10. That's a whole nother story for another night. Let's stay on track, shall we? That'll be tomorrow's story. I jumped into this business in 2018, and I jumped into it because God told me to start a publishing house. And then God told me to join Ben Hardy's mastermind, January of 2018. And that mastermind changed my life. I literally, to this day, I'm just like, Ben Hardy, without you, I don't know if I'd be here, because his mastermind was the thing that got things moving. He had this incentive. It was $1,000 for the whole year. And if you did every single homework assignment, he would pay you $1,000. So you get your money back and he would pay you. And at that time, we didn't have any money. And so that's how I was able to ask my husband at the time for $1,000, is I was like, I will make us $1,000. And so you better believe I did every single homework assignment for the whole year. Every single homework assignment. And that year changed my life. And so while I was in that group, I was like, I'm going to start coaching. Because that's how I roll. So I start coaching, and I coached my very first client, who was my cousin, and I was like, $200 a month. I want to start coaching you. Now, let's just rewind for a second. I also had been trained in multiple healing modalities, and I had had a healing practice in my home. So for about 6 years, I was a healer. So it's not like I was just going off of nothing, right? And I had been trained in muscle testing, which was my dad's healing modality, since I was 16. I had been working with my dad since I was 16, learning this modality. So, I mean, I had a lot of tools, and this wasn't just like an overnight decide I'm going to coach. Like, it just it was like the compound effect of all the years of all the trainings I had been learning. So I start coaching, and then slowly I'm getting a few clients. So in that year, I'm doing, all of this mastermind, and I'm getting all these creative ideas. I decide that I'm going to write a course. Now, in my 5 to 6 years of being a healer, I noticed I had a gift. And the gift was that I could hear the chakras. I know that's interesting, but I could hear them. And actually, it started way before I became a healer, because I was a massage therapist and I would be working in people's bodies. And when I would work in a certain muscle, I could hear the emotion that had been stuck in their muscle. And then I learned about chakras, and what's interesting is I didn't learn about the emotions in chakras. The chakras taught me what was stuck in them. Like, I learned from the body, not from an outside source. And then later on, I learned about all the chakras and all the emotions tied to them. And I was like, oh, this is exactly what they taught me. So I was like, I am going to create a digital course that teaches how people can heal their chakras. Yes? A 12-week course. I created it. And I was like, this is it. That's like my favorite sentence. When I'm like, this is it. And for a very long time, everything I created, that was the energy. Like, this is it. And I sold 3. Yes, I launched it and I sold 3. And 2 of them were to my massage clients, and 1 of them was to a friend. Just crickets. Okay. And I just never gave up. Like, I'd be like, well, all right, just keep going. What's interesting is that course I ended up giving to every client who's ever worked with me since 2018. That's just like been a core course. And it has changed all of my clients' lives. Anyone who took that class changed their life. So it didn't even go to waste. And I think that that's why nothing has ever felt like a failure, because that course was then reused for all the masterminds that I ran for the years after, and it became collateral. It became something that other people could get value from, even though it wasn't it. Like, I didn't make thousands of dollars. I sold it for like $300, right? I made it maybe 1,000. And I always have seen how everything I've created just rolls into the next. So then I get this wild idea, as we do as entrepreneurs, that I was going to start a jewelry line. And I had visions of these pieces of jewelry, and I just knew that they needed to be turquoise. And one of my massage clients owned a turquoise mine. What are the chances? Who owns a turquoise mine? She did. So we'd go to her house, and I would just be like swimming in raw turquoise, and I would hand pick the stones for my jewelry, and then I would bless them. And then we would ship them off to China to be made. And I wrote prayers for every style of jewelry. And the jewelry was called the Awaken Jewelry line. And it was meant to awaken people's greatness. It's been like the theme of my whole life, right? It always seems to be the theme of everything I ever create, is how do we awaken people's greatness? So I learned how to build, I learned how to make a logo. So I got someone on Fiverr, made me this beautiful tree logo. And then I learned how to print tissue paper with logos and cards from Vistaprint and boxes. And I learned how to sell high-end jewelry. It was priced at $600 because I put this big of turquoise. I don't think anyone's made jewelry like this. Massive chunks, and not like turquoise that had been split, like full pieces of turquoise and white buffalo turquoise. Oh, it was so beautiful. Seriously, that jewelry was so beautiful. But it just didn't sell. Like, most people aren't buying $600 bangles, right? And so it started to tank. I had invested $30,000. from credit cards. Okay, I think that's good to note. And I just kept going. I kept going. And then 2020 hit and all the factories in China closed down. And so did all the jewelry that I had spent all this money on. And the whole company just tanked. So I didn't even like skip a beat. I was like, well, I guess I'm not supposed to have a jewelry line. And look at all that I learned. I learned how to make logos. I learned how to make tissue papers. I learned how to make boxes. I learned how to make prayer cards. Like, this was a great education. And that's literally how I've looked at every piece I've ever made. So right after that, I had this vision of, like, I remember the moment I was driving down the hill towards when I lived on the hill, we'll call it the house on the hill. And I like heard God say, the spiritual entrepreneur, like, you are going to build this program. And mind you, I had started a podcast in 2018. That was like the very first thing I ever did was I started the Awaken podcast. And I knew how to build digital courses. I think I built like, I don't know, I think I built like 3 more courses after the Awaken program, which was like the chakra program that no one bought. And I just kept building. I just kept building courses. I just kept building courses and no one's buying them. And I'm also in the middle of writing all these books. Like I wrote, in 2020, I wrote the book, Rise Up and Awaken to the Joy of Being Human. And I think I sold 5. I'm pretty sure I've sold 5 copies of that book still to this day, okay? Because it's $55 because it's full color art with like beautiful journal prompts on how to awaken joy in a human. Literally, maybe I've sold 10. Maybe I've sold 10 of that book. And so I'm like in the middle of writing that book, and then God tells me to create the spiritual entrepreneur. So I create, like, I'm pretty sure it had like 45 classes, a whole section on how to create your own podcast, a whole section on how to build a digital course, a whole section on how to write a book. Like, it was just like everything. And then it was like the prayers. And I had, oh my gosh, I had this whole section on how to do sales. And I mean, like, I just like build this huge program and I launch it, and I don't think anyone bought it at all. It's so crazy to tell these stories. Like, I'm pretty sure no one bought it. So I was like, okay, no one's buying the course. So then I was like, I'm going to create a mastermind. And the mastermind is going to be called the Spiritual Entrepreneur. And they get the course a part of the mastermind. And I launched that, and it took, like, I think 6 people joined. And so then I had them in a year-long mastermind where I'm teaching them everything that's in the course that I built that no one bought. And I really started to get momentum, and I started to make some money. And so, like, what I found is if you build something and it doesn't work the way you were selling it, like, restructure. What's the next thing? Pivoting is like my greatest gift. Like, I can pivot all day long. Like, something doesn't work, we just pivot. Something's not selling, we just pivot. We repackage it. We redo it. So then I did the Spiritual Entrepreneur for probably like a year, I feel like. And then I really locked in, and I was like, I'm just really good at helping people write books. And I have this publishing house, and I had been publishing like a few books a year, but it was like nothing major. And like I said, at the beginning of publishing, it was like a duct taped experience. It was such a mess. I'm always like, kudos to whoever published with us at the beginning. It was a real shit show. And I just kept going. Like, I didn't care. I didn't care that like things didn't feel like it was working right. I was just like, no, like, I know that I'm going to create success. And that has been the deepest truth for me from the beginning. I have always known that I would create success without a shadow of a doubt. Like, I just knew it. And every time something didn't work, I was like, well, I guess that's not it, but I am going to create success, and I am going to figure this out. And so I just kept building and kept building. And so then I wrote I wrote a program on how to write a book, and then I launched that course and it just didn't sell. So then I was like, oh, mastermind. So then I created a mastermind for everyone to write their book. And then here was the course. And I just realized like masterminds is what my magic was. People liked to be on Zoom calls with me. People liked to be coached. This is what it was. So then I started to go into one-on-ones and helping people write books, one-on-one or in a mastermind. And this was something really fascinating that I figured out, is that it used to cost $10,000. These were the good old days. It was only $10,000 to write your book with me and have it published and have a year-long mastermind. And guess how many people wrote their books all the way to publication when they spent $10,000? Like 3 of them. Only 3 of them. And I was like, what is happening? So then I relaunched this mastermind and I said, it's $24,000. And then guess what happened? 90% of them wrote their books. 90% of them. And I was like, interesting. And so then that's when I got really comfortable with high ticket sales. And it was because I realized like I never want to feel like I'm taking people's money. Like I want results for my people. That is it. And I realized like, oh, at 10K, people, it's just not enough. Like it doesn't hurt them enough. It's not putting enough skin in the game. And so they're just not finishing their books. But at 24,000, we got some skin in the game. And so most people wrote their books. So then I began to understand like I'm just a high ticket girl. And it's because I'm so committed to results. So I start running the $24,000 mastermind. I start working with like the publishing is getting better. It's getting better and it's getting better. And so like this thing just starts to like build. And then I get to the end of that year and I just hit this like, I just really don't love when people don't finish. Like I want people to finish their books. And around that time, that's when my best friend Juliet showed up in my life. And she said, I am an entrepreneur. I have 4 kids. Like I need you to take me on a vacation for 5 days and help me write a book in 5 days. And I was like, it was at a time where I really needed cash. And I was all, yes, I can do that. I had no idea if I could do that. And I needed $35,000 to cover all the bills that we had at the publishing house. And so she said, how much is it? And I was all, $35,000. She was like, okay. I'm like, all right, deal. So we went on that and we went on her adventure. And during her adventure, I just took a shit ton of videos, just so many videos, so much content, so much proof, and then literally launched it into the world the next week, just showing everything. And the next 3 months filled out. And when people would get on calls, they were like, I was like, this is what it is. I'm going to help you write your book in 5 days. And I was so certain that I could do it because I had just done it. And it just took like hotcakes. Like people were like, yes, I am in. And so at first, like, it was like a little bit boring, right? Like I just kept bringing everyone to Boise. And I was like, this is, where I live and it's so beautiful here. And then somebody was like, I don't want to go to Boise. I would like to just go to like a meetup space where between our states. So let's go to Bend, Oregon. And so then I got a taste of going to a new place. So I was like, all right. And then like the next person, I was like, hey, where do you want to go? They were like, I don't know. Let's go to the Redwoods. And I was like, okay. And then like it got crazy. And then somebody was like, I want to go to Cabo. And I was like, okay. So then we went to Cabo. And then somebody was like, I want to go to Kauai. And I was like, done. And so this offer was the first offer that I'd ever launched that like took like hotcakes. But that didn't happen until April of 2023. June of 2023. So we went from 2018 to 2023, launching programs over and over and over that nobody bought, or that only 6 people would buy, or that I would put them in a mastermind and there was only like 10 people in that mastermind. And I just kept showing up. And I kept creating courses. Like, I just couldn't help it. I am a course creator at my heart, apparently. And no one ever bought courses. Like, it just didn't work, but I still kept creating them. So then after I spent a year traveling the world, helping people write books all over the world, I was like, I'm going to create a digital course. Again, I'm going to create a digital course that teaches people how to write their books like the way I help people write on these author adventures. And so I flew all the way to Nebraska to Juliet's, she has a huge studio there. And we did so many classes. It was called Unleash Your Book. And I wanted this whole dance section where I'm teaching people to dance and move their bodies. And then we realized that I couldn't use any of those dance videos because they were all famous songs and blah, blah, blah. And so then we just like kind of threw it all away. Like the hours and hours and hours that I recorded. And it just like landed in no man's land, right? So then, this is fascinating. While I'm traveling the world writing books with people, I get this vision, and it was like September of 23 that I'm supposed to create a business school. And it's supposed to be a business school for leaders, and it was supposed to help them like really step into their leadership, which is just like something I love so deeply. And I was getting a massage. Oh my gosh, it's coming back to me. I was getting this crazy massage, like where they dripped oil on your third eye for like 30 minutes. And it's supposed to wake up your third eye. It was when I was running an event at Savannah, which also, by the way, in between all this, there's so many pieces I'm missing, but sure. This is just an overview. In between running adventures and running a mastermind of authors, I was doing live events at this gorgeous resort in Carefree, Arizona called Savannah. Go, please. You'll love me for that. And I remember that Deepak Chopra had an event going on there. He wasn't there himself, but it was like his institute. And they had this special oil massage for anyone who was a part of the Deepak Chopra thing. And I was like, I want to get this massage. It's supposed to open your third eye and have all these visions. They're like, sorry, it's only for Deepak. And I was like, no, I run events at Savannah, so I get this massage. And they said yes. It was very pricey, but I got it. And while they're like dripping this oil on my third eye, I hear it. Mosaic. This company is called Mosaic. And so I started to like create this business school, which is a completely different entity than my publishing house. And I see it, and Juliet is such a genius at logos, and she made this beautiful Mosaic logo, and we're building all these graphics. And in December of 2023, I feel super inspired to join Kelly Roach's mastermind on how to launch webinars. And it was $25,000 that I didn't have, which is like the story of all of business for me. Like, and then it was $1 million that I didn't have, and I figured it out. Like, this was like the start of that. Like, it's $25,000 that I don't have, but I'm going to figure it out so I can be in it. So I start meeting with her coach, right? And she's teaching me webinars. And so I meet with her like 3 times. I'm like, got it. So then I decided to launch a webinar, and from the webinar, I'm launching this brand new business. And I launched the webinar, and I launched Mosaic, and it's 10K. And it was probably one of the most exciting moments of business for me, is that within 48 hours, I had made $100,000 cash. And I had never made $100,000 cash, and I did. And it was like the funnest thing ever. Like, I would go to my like bank account, and I would see like another person had bought, and another person had bought, and another person. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is it. And then almost nobody bought Mosaic ever again. And isn't That's just such a great story. But what it taught me was that I had the ability to take a logo and a Stripe link and launch it from a webinar and make $100,000 in one day. And that changed me. I was like, oh, I can do anything now. Like, it was like all I had was a logo and a Stripe link. Like, what? And so anyways, Mosaic was such a joy to run. We did have a few people trickle in for the next year. But overall, I realized that, well, I didn't realize. I went to go work with Alex Hermosi in May of 25. And I told Alex all the things that I was running. And Alex was like, how much money have you made from your business school this year? And I had closed $15,000 in 6 months. And then he said, how much has your publishing house made? And I had made $1 million in 6 months. And he was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, oh my gosh, how did I not see this? And so what's interesting is that Mosaic didn't dissolve. I still have Mosaic. It is a part of JOA though. So we have a business school every week that meets under the name of Mosaic in JOA, but I do not sell Mosaic as a separate offer. So I need that to be clear. Mosaic did not die. It is fully living and breathing. Actually, nothing changed. Mosaic is actually more alive than it's ever been, but I do not sell Mosaic, which completely took so much energy. And what happened is all my energy got put onto the publishing house, and I got super focused on what I've always been called to do, which is to help people hear God and write the most important books. And I have tried to stray from this over and over and over again. And it is the thing that I have been called to do. And so Mosaic was like, I mean, we could call it successful, and also wasn't successful. It was like a one-hit wonder, huge bam into the world, but it just like it just didn't stick. And so sometimes I walk underneath my stairs, and I call it the graveyard of businesses. Okay. So when you go in there, we have 45 Mosaic boxes, these gorgeous boxes, luxury boxes that have Mosaic cups and Mosaic towels and Mosaic cards. And they just sit there, and I'm like, oh, there's a little bit of a graveyard in here. And then I just like hold it in gratitude, because Mosaic taught me the power of a logo and a Stripe link and a webinar. Okay, it was just so crazy. And so after that, I had this total dream of running live events, and I put on this massive live event, and it was super successful. It was called Success Codes, and it was to help women entrepreneurs, as I just really want to help women build businesses. Like, I just think, oh, it's so exciting to build a business, right? So we did everything. We had these huge banners, and it cost me $100,000 to put on this live event, which I did not have. I took out a $100,000 loan from Stripe. Thank you, Stripe. Stripe is my biggest supporter of my business. And this is not sponsored, but probably should be. But anyways, so I take out this $100,000 loan, $115,000 loan. We rent this crazy venue. We get this huge stage. It's a wild success. I closed $1.2 million from my stage in my sweats in 5 minutes. Literally one of the craziest moments of my life. I remember when I offered a $77,000 offer, and the stage, it filled with people who were saying yes to it. And I dropped to my knees and I began to sob, because I was like, oh my gosh, what just happened? It was like a moment in time where like we all watched like a single mom of 5 kids close $1.2 million from a stage in her sweats. Like, it was just like, I feel like we broke the time-space continuum. Like, it was just crazy. But then I did never do a live event again. It felt like it was like such a wild success. I was like so afraid to ever do it again. And it just took so much energy, and it cost so much money to put on a live event. And so we had a live event booked for 6 months later, and we canceled it. And I was just like, I do not have the bandwidth to do a live event. But this year in 2026, my live event is coming back at the end of the year, and I'm so excited about it. But like, I have so much success codes books. I wrote a success code book. We have success code banners. We have success code bags. It's just like underneath my stairs, like a graveyard. Like, I don't think I'm ever running a success codes again. Like, it just chalk it up to like all the creations that like didn't fully come to life. And then when we thought we were doing this event in Boise, we have literal tote bags that say book activator live in Boise. We have cards, we have books, we have all these things that just, well, that didn't happen. So then we just put it underneath the stairs. And this is what's so fascinating is in May of 2025, God told me to start a self-publishing model. And so I built a whole self-publishing house, okay? Like, down to a workbook that's printed, down to bubble mailers that are printed. Like, every piece of that was built. And we launched it from a webinar, and no one bought it. And I was like, all right, it's not time. And we literally took this whole business that we built and we just put it on the shelf, and it would go underneath the stairs. It's just all this self-publishing house creations that I was like, well, I'm not sure why God told me to do that. I think that was a waste of my time. But oh well. Like, I literally never suffer around anything that doesn't take. I'm just like, well, there was a reason I was supposed to build it. We shall see. But like, I just move. I just pivot so damn fast onto where we need to go. And I do not sit in the suffering of something that didn't work. And I think if there's one piece of advice I could give any entrepreneur, it is that. But here's what's so cool. Is that 2 months ago, I was shown to build this new program. And this program was to prepare people to write their books. So what I've found is that when somebody steps into the role of being an author, they fully claim the identity, the book just arrives. And so I built this 12-week program literally in a day. I just like downloaded the whole thing. And then I had one day in like 2 months that was open. And I had already booked my videographer to fly down and shoot it. And I had never been sicker in my life. Like, literally was coughing every 4 minutes. Like, we had the plague here. Like, the whole world literally had the plague. And I got it. And I never get sick. And I got it. And it was like the Airbnb was rented to shoot the video in. My videographer was coming to town. And I was just like, I can't cancel. Rewind. I had already pre-sold this program, okay? So I had sold it in December with the Christmas special that people could buy it for really cheap, but I hadn't created it yet. And that is one of my greatest tips is if you sell a program before you build it, then you have to build it. And I think I've done that with almost everything that I've ever built. And that's why I have so much shit, is that I sell things before it's done so that I have to do it. And so that is why I had to record that day, because I was telling everyone it was launching the next week. And I was like, we have to record. So I have never prayed so hard. And we recorded for 8 hours straight. And I only had 2 coughing spells, which was a miracle beyond miracles. I also had no voice. And God gave me a voice for those 8 hours. And then after those 8 hours, I was so sick for a whole week. But we got the whole program made. Like, every single piece was complete. before the day we told everyone it would be live. And while I was building this program, I was like, this is the making of an author. This is the making of an author. Now, I want to remind you that when I made the self-publishing house, we made the most amazing logo, and it was called Author Made. And then it was like so sad that we didn't get to use it. So when I was building this program, I'm like, this is the making of an author. What is the name of this program? And then God was like, Author Made. Like, oh my gosh, that's genius, God. We already have the logo. We already have all this stuff. We're just going to delete the tagline that says self-publish, and Author Made is it. And it was like, oh my gosh, that's why we made the self-publishing business. So I can have that logo. It all makes sense. But then, as we have launched Author Made, and as I've been building all the pieces that go along with it, I've had some people reach out and they're like, I don't really have the funds to be a JOA author. And I'm like, well, guess what? I have a self-publishing company. And this is why I do not believe that there's ever a failure, because we do not know what we are learning and what we've built. We do not know when what we've built will come around and support what we're then doing. And we cannot deny that in the creation of everything we're inspired to do, we become. We become. And every iteration that I've ever made in business has made me become stronger, more confident, more capable, and more successful, because I can claim who I am. I stand behind who I say I am because I've done all the things, right? And so I feel like there's a bazillion other stories that I'm missing tonight, but you get the point. All right? You get the point. This was not an overnight success. I've had more crickets than I've had successes. But all along the journey, I have known to my very bones that I would create success. And I do believe that knowing has helped me continue even when I launch something that doesn't work. And there is a piece that I also feel has helped me not quit. And that is that I know I'm here to impact. And so if this way right here isn't the way, it's all right. I know there's another way. But I cannot deny that my purpose on this planet is to impact humanity. And that's my North Star. So everything else that doesn't work, well, it's all right. The next thing will. The next thing will. And what I'm learning is that now that we are so deeply focused on JOA and Author Made, all my energy goes here, and there's no need to create anything else unless it's going to support my authors, unless it's going to support those who are going through the Author Made program, those who are coming to Boise to write their books, or those who are coming into the JOA publishing house as an author. And now all my creations go to support this. No new things, no new businesses. It's all in support for this, for the greater good of authors. And I've never felt more sturdy and more stable and more strong in my body than I do now in my business. And it is because I have landed here. And when you never feel like something failed, so if you never feel like something failed, you'll always actually succeed. It's when we think when something didn't work that we failed, we buy into that, and then that just becomes our reality. But if you always believe that you will succeed, I do believe you will. And it's okay if you have crickets, but you just keep showing up. Like tonight, when I didn't want to make this video for you. I think this is my favorite video. And on day 21, when I wanted to quit, I just showed up. And that is the message of today. So with that, I hope you sleep well, and I will see you tomorrow night.